Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Good morning, Glenn.
Hey, man, your timing's off a little bit, I think, but you know.
No,
hey.
I'm feeling like it's Christmas morning today.
Oh, fantastic, man. That's it's funny as we're coming in the coffee shop here, I was reminded many years ago, I would trudge into a coffee shop, hungover, and I'd be, stumbling around, and I'd be trying to figure out what I did or said the night before. And now I come into the coffee shop and we chat about sobriety, and we chat about, how life is pretty cool.
Tell me about
sober.
Tell me about sunrises. I love this line of yours. You used to what?
So I used to curse mornings.
You used to curse mornings.
Hashtag curse mornings.
Yeah.
And now I hashtag crave mornings.
Oh, man.
Because it's a new day, new opportunity,
right.
new way to rejuvenate the passion and purpose. So it's great.
You know what I'm so excited about? We've got a table for three.
Oh, I love
virtual
table for three.
Yeah, virtual table for three
So
today.
this is our first virtual table for three.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're going virtual. We've got somebody on speakerphone.
Really
right?
cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
so this is way cool. So just to cue it up, I was laughing at myself yesterday because Glenn said, hey, we're going to have coffee with a wrestler tomorrow. And I'm like, a wrestler? Like Randy Macho Man Savage or The Undertaker or
Hulk
Ric
Hogan.
Flair, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin? I mean, come on now, together forever, WWE, baby.
That's awesome.
And he goes, no, I'm talking about like a real wrestler. And I'm like, wait a minute, the other thing isn't real?
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
Hey, Rich, welcome, man. Welcome to our
Welcome,
coffee
brother.
shop.
That's awesome. It's kind of like finding out Santa's not real.
Right.
Well, it's funny. One of the memories I have growing up with my dad, and this was relentless. We never missed a weekend. It was Saturday night at 5 o'clock. Wrestling was on.
Wow.
It was the only time that I was allowed to eat down in the basement, and my dad and I would eat on serving trays, TV trays, they used to call them back then. And it was the only night I was allowed to drink soda and watch wrestling.
Right.
And we did it. My dad and I did it every Saturday night. But that was the fake stuff.
Right. So for Claire.
Hey, as a kid, that was the exciting thing. Back in the 80s, we actually lived right behind the Portland Sports Arena. That's way back when with the original Portland wrestling,
Oh, that's nice, man.
Sneak in at night, sneak into the events, and yeah, a lot of fun. Hey, you know what, man? You started singing a Christmas song right off the bat, guys. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. I have some flashbacks. I missed 10 Christmases in a row because of my alcoholism and drug addiction.
Wow, holy cow.
10 Christmases I was locked up.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a blessing that, the last 18, I get to have Christmas with my family and just be blessed to be around and available and present for the holidays.
Yeah. You warm my heart because it is. There are alternative ways to experience life, and you made some choices along the way, and can't wait to kind of hear your story a little bit here. And as a disclaimer, if people do a YouTube video search for Richard Jensen, they'll have there's plenty of other content out there, but share a little bit about your journey with our co-coffeers.
Yeah. I was a wrestler, man. Like you said, I was a wrestler through school, and it really helped keep me grounded for a lot of years. Keep me focused, keep me engaged, keep me inspired. I felt like I was a part of. I was, part of the team.
Part of a team.
A sense of purpose. And when I graduated, and wrestling was on the wayside, and I went up fishing up in Alaska for a summer. And unfortunately, that experience, was supposed to be a financial gain, and then off to college. And it looks good on paper, but life has a funny way of throwing you a curveball.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah, so when I think of wrestlers, because I had some buddies of mine growing up that were wrestlers, the first word that comes into my mind is discipline.
Right.
I mean, so focused and so disciplined in every area of their life, not just on the mat, but it took a lot of discipline outside the mat with what they ate and how they practiced and how they lived to be the most effective on the mat.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's, that having those years in wrestling is what really became the vehicle and saved my life later on,
So how young were you when you started wrestling?
I was in junior high school, when I found wrestling. And then I wrestled through high school. I wasn't super successful, but wrestling was the medicine for me. It was that one thing that I needed in my life.
Right. What was your weight range then?
I was 123. 123. I was a littler guy, lighter weight.
Fast, I'll bet.
Well, you know what? Then I went off fishing and I found drugs and alcohol. And once I couldn't stop using for almost 20 years. It destroyed everything around me, separated me from my family, drove a wedge between myself and my kids. And, it took everything I dreamed about, everything I loved away from me, and it separated me from everything that was important in life for almost 20 years until I found myself getting released from prison, sitting at a homeless shelter, 34 years old, trying to figure out what just happened over the last 20 years.
Yeah, so we don't really like to dig in too much of a drunkalog, but what caused you to start drinking and how did it progress? I mean, we don't want to go into too much detail, but it sounds like it got pretty bad if you ended up in prison and being homeless, right?
Well, that was the short snapshot version. I can't wait to get into the perseverance, the overcoming the challenges of addiction and finding success. You know how much I love getting into that.
Yeah, right. That's meat. Yeah.
So the way sorry, Rich. The way we like to break these up into like 3 sections, right? Experience, strength, and hope. So experience, it sounds like things were catastrophic, right? It sounds like it really gripped your life, and it landed up with some consequences that were pretty challenging. You're dealing with a kid with a little bit of low self-esteem, trying to really navigate and find his way, a young adult, no real tools to deal with, alcohol, no real life experience, young, and I was sheltered for so long, wrestling was the element. I never really experimented with any alcohol, till I got out of school and moved on, and it grabbed a hold pretty quick, and it took a little bit of control right away from me, and it snowballed. It was a snowballed for years, and it just couldn't quite get my feet on the ground,
Yep.
My parents never drank. My parents never used any drugs, and so I wasn't bound for that. I wasn't conditioned for it. I wasn't around it. Just, moved on, and it just got a little bit out of control pretty quick.
Sure.
Right. I didn't know about AA. I didn't know about really treatment. I didn't understand where the solution was at the time. I didn't know people that had been in 12 steps. So I'd never been exposed to it. And so, living in a fog for quite a few years until I found, found other people that were living in the solution.
Great. So what was the baseline, or as I always like to put it, Rich, what was the catalyst, or what was the event that kind of led you to a decision that, I'm not going to live this life anymore. I am going to start focusing on change.
Yeah, good one. I talk about it in my book. There's a few things that happened in a short period of time that affected my life drastically. And one of them was I actually found my way to prison, and that was a big wake-up call. Unfortunately, during that process, I lost my mother, who was the heartbeat of the family. She was my everything, and that affected me dearly. And then I had separated myself from my kids for a while. Mm-hmm. And my daughter showed up out of the blue with her mom. I hadn't seen her for a while. And I was in embarrassing shape, and that just kept haunting me. And I needed to find a way to be that father that my daughter needed, and, just a few things that happened in a short period of time. And then I got released to a homeless shelter, and it was like, I was at my bottom. I was at my very bottom. And I sat there and rolling cigarettes out of the ashtray and decided, whatever it takes, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to look at one day at a time. I've heard that slow. I'm just going to get through the day. And one day turned into weeks and months and years. And I just kept never sold out again after that.
I love it. I love that whatever it takes. I love that you came to that point. And much like me, it's I struck a chord of similarity because it was a culmination of things. My life was so disastrous in so many areas that it was a culmination, and just that moment where I said, okay, enough. I'm just going to do whatever it takes. And I've not to say I didn't try before, but this was a different kind of whatever it takes. And it sounds to me like you had that same moment.
Absolutely. I've tried many, many times over the years, but I finally made a decision to go 100% in, listen to the suggestions, go to meetings, talk to other recovering addicts that were trying to make change, and just buy in. I bought in 100%. I was done.
Yep.
And I never, and I went through treatment and obviously went to a meeting every day for the first 3 years, and I just put myself in that community and bought in 100%, and life started changing. Started getting better.
Rich, that's awesome. When you said you were going to meetings, are you referencing like the 12-step meetings?
Yeah. I was. I went to AA every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I got a home group out of Portland. It's called Loyola's Men's Group. It's a very, very large men's group.
Oh, that's
every
great.
Monday night. For years.
That's fantastic. So
now with the support that I found, and it was, it was what I needed.
Let's talk about that. That's right. You needed. Well, what jumps out of my mind is that if I wanted to learn wrestling, I would call you, Rich, and say, tell me, right? Because I know nothing about being a wrestler. You know everything about being a wrestler. So you magnated to people who could tell you about being sober.
Yep. I just told the kids. I just did a program yesterday. I told the kids, you want to be great at something, you want to be good at something, be around the people that are doing that thing.
Right.
Be around those positive people if you want to be positive. You want to be great, you got to get in that environment.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit. I got so many things where we'll try and get this condensed into some kind of time frame. But first of all, tell me about the book, because it sounds to me like you kind of laid out your story. That's really exciting. Tell me a little bit about the book, and go ahead and plug it, because I think it sounds like a good read.
Yeah, it's called Be a Champion in Life. It's available on Amazon. It's my autobiography. Perfect, easy, 220-page read that even kids could read. And I made it, I just basically broke it down to, the struggle, and then finding recovery, and then finding the vehicle that saved my life, and that was wrestling.
Love it.
And then going on and using wrestling as the reorganizing my life around the sport, becoming that athlete that I always wanted to be, becoming that coach I always wanted to be, that I thought about for years, and finally just went all in with becoming an elite athlete. I trained for 10 years, and I went on to become a national wrestling champion after getting sober,
Well, that's outstanding, Rich, and certainly looking forward to digging in more on that, on what you're doing today. But let me ask you, early in sobriety, when you're going to the meetings, and as I like to say, when you're in the sober gym, right? When you're learning to use tools, when you're learning how to live differently, what type of when we talk about hope, right? What type of improvements did you have on the inside? And then we'll break it out into seeing kind of what you're doing today with your road trips and all your speaking engagements, et cetera. But let's talk about how you were feeling inside.
So I had to spend a lot of time digging in and dealing with the fact that, my father was not present, my real father.
Mm-hmm.
I had to dig into the fact that I had actually abandoned my kids for drugs and alcohol. A lot of guilt and shame around that. And so with me becoming a better person and a man of integrity and doing the right thing over time, I started to build that relationship back with my family, with my kids, and a lot of healing took place. And I always believed deep down inside, if I could rebuild and mend and that relationship with my kids, then a whole bunch of other things in life were going to be okay. Everything else was going to work itself out.
That's awesome.
And did that in fact come to pass?
That came to pass, and my kids have looked up to me like their hero for years. Wow. And I knew that was going to be the linchpin to everything else. Like that was the number one thing at the top of my list, was to be that father, right. Present and available. And my kids will never feel a sense of disconnect for 1 minute of the rest of their life.
And could I presume that you're not their hero because of what you do on the mat? You're their hero because of what you do off the mat.
My connection with them,
That's
my
right.
integrity,
That's
me
right.
as a person, my character. It wasn't that I won the national title. It was who I became in that whole process that mattered.
It's outstanding. One of the things that jumped out at me when I was doing a little bit of digging around. Here's the good news for me. I'm Rich. I'm 62 years old, so most of my shenanigans were pre-internet, right? But
right.
But
There's
now
no evidence.
yeah, right. But now I can find out anything. Something jumped out at me. It said, and this is
Rich, watch out. Mikey just learned how to use Google.
I know. I'm all over Google right now.
Did somebody help him?
Yeah,
Yes,
my grandson.
Exactly.
So this is just a shot out of an article off of ESPN, and this is when I was first starting to research a little bit about you and your story. And this, in the third paragraph, it says, "This is the easy part for the 37-year-old sophomore." You were 37 years old, and you're a sophomore.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's my kind of program.
Hey, it's just know that the message in that, it's never too late to change your life. It's never too late to make a comeback.
Yeah. The other thing that jumped out at me in that article and it really, really resonated with me is you talked about going into a match and you talked about the mental, this guy, I think if I can, this guy beat me up before, right? I mean, he destroyed me before, but I've got 7 minutes now. And I just thought, what a metaphor for life. Life kind of beats you up, but all you really have is that 7 minutes in front of you.
Yep, that's right. That's right. That's right. It's all about what you're doing right here, right now, in this moment.
Yeah, so I love the line. In fact, I wrote that down. What we're going to title this is "It's Never Too Late." Yeah. All right, Rich. So in our remaining time, I'd love to hear your mission today. What you do. I understand you've been on, some national networks. One, some people might have heard of it, called ESPN. You have a national brand that sponsors you. So what's your mission today? What's your passion and purpose today?
Yeah, so I took my story out on the road in about a little over 10 years ago. And I speak in a lot of school system settings, and I talk about the dangers of poor choices, dangers of addiction. I encourage leadership. And, these kids need to hear a good, positive message. And so I went out on the road with it. I speak to upwards of 30, 40,000 kids a year today, And
man, that's amazing. That's great.
Our mission is strong. It's an awesome program. It's engaging with the kids, and I share my experience, and it's a hard conversation to have, but it's needed more than ever today with our youth.
Is there a specific age range that you approach?
I target middle school through college,
Okay.
and we're just getting ready to start cracking into corporate leadership events. I think it's really important that we get out there and get into the corporate world. But my main focus, I cornered the school system because I think it all starts with our youth.
Right. What
a great mission.
Yeah, you talked a lot about hope as I look at some of your interviews, and you talked about the state of hopelessness that you were in, and the state of hope that you're in now. My question to you is, what's your message today for the guy who's not feeling much hope in his life?
Well, there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of people like myself that understand that feeling of hopelessness. We have got to get out and surround ourselves with others that understand, others that are trying to do something more positive in their life. Got to connect with other recovering addicts and people that get it, Truth is that you don't have to live like that. Stigma is dead, and we do recover, and we not only recover, we can have a successful life with our family and business and whatever we choose to do. And we just got to eat the bear one bite at a time.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing, Rich. Really appreciate the opportunity. What I'd like to do is have you give us some of your resource, drop some of your links. We can certainly post them on social media. But if you mentioned your book, do you have any other social media links that kind of follow you around the country as you're doing these speaking engagements?
Yeah, I've got a website. It's beachampioninlife.com. And there's a lot of videos, a lot of resources, and a lot of information on there. All our social media platforms are Be a Champion in Life. And there's a lot of stuff available. 10 years of traveling, news clips, documentaries, and there's a lot of videos that will really help somebody that's looking for a little bit of hope, a little bit of inspiration, maybe a parent that's trying to figure out how to talk to their kid about this stuff. There's videos out there that we've done over the years, and you'll find them if you look for us. Google Richard Jensen.
All right. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so Google Richard Jensen. The website is beachampioninlife.com, right? And then you can search for Richard Jensen, your book on Amazon also, correct?
Yes.
That's great.
Champion
That's
in life.
great.
Yeah.
Here's what my takeaway from this morning, and I can't thank you enough for being here, but my takeaway from this morning is get connected. Look for an example. Get a trainer, if you will. If you want to wrestle, go talk to somebody who knows how to wrestle. If you want to get sober, go talk to somebody who knows how to get sober. And that's what I heard you tell me this morning.
And it's never too late.
And it's never too late.
Rich, thank you very much for joining us. What a mission. Really appreciate you out there and sharing your story with us this morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Will you come back and join us
for
again?
What you guys are doing too.
Yeah, please come back and join us again.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's have a coffee conversation.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.